Scary storm.
When your dog is anxious, he'll let you know.
What? Thunder Wonders.
Maybe not as articulately as Huckleberry. Here you go, Huckleberry. Try Thunder Wonders, the calming dog chews that help your pup deal with the scary stuff like thunder, fireworks, separation, and travel. From the creators of Thunder Shirt, Thunder Wonders are 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Hey, Huckleberry, you ready to go to the vet?
Thunder Wonders. Thunder Wonders. Thunder Wonders. Thunder Wonders.
What's up, y'all? Jimmy Allen here, interviewing the one and only Carrie Underwood.
It's an ET exclusive.
Look at Jimmy Allen working for ET. Also tomorrow on ET, we're hitting the Lightyear red carpet with Chris Evans and hanging with J-Lo in New York for her halftime homecoming.
Kind of living in the moment and feeling.
Happening now.
Once the blood is rinsed away from the bodies of our loved ones and scrubbed off the floors of the schools and supermarkets and churches, the carnage from each scene is erased from our collective conscience, and we return again to nostalgia.
He shot my friend that was next to me, and I thought he was going to come back.
Somewhere out there, there's a mom listening to our testimony, thinking, I can't even imagine their pain, not knowing that our reality will one day be hers, unless we act now.
First at 5, powerful testimony from a witness, a survivor, and a family of a victim killed in the Uvalde shooting.
During this morning's hearing on gun violence prevention, the U.S. House Committee for Oversight and Reform silently taking in the heartfelt and passionate pleas.
Our Lee Waldman on Capitol Hill right now. Lee, you were inside the Rayburn building as that testimony was happening. Give us a feel for that room.
It was solemn and quiet. It was some of the most powerful recounting of May 24th that we've heard yet. It was 5 minutes of uninterrupted, unedited, unfiltered testimony from real people whose lives will never be the same. Dr. Roy Guerrero, Uvalde's only pediatrician, walked stoically into the hearing room, flanked by a police officer and several others. He was the second speaker we heard from today, telling the congressional committee how the kids he treats are like his own. Guerrero described walking through the hallway at Uvalde Memorial Hospital the day of the shooting and being met with carnage. Children literally torn apart to the point of unrecognition by bullets. He said the screams of their parents will never leave his mind. Dr. Guerrero said he chose to be a pediatrician and to treat children and protect them from preventable diseases. And he called on Congress to protect them from preventable crimes.
Making sure our children are safe from guns, that's the job of our politicians and leaders. In this case, you are the doctors, and our country is the patient. We are lying on the operating table, riddled with bullets like the children of Robb Elementary and so many other schools. We are bleeding out and you are not there.
Dr. Guerrero said the first person he saw at the hospital was Maya Cerrillo. Today, he sat beside her father in our nation's capital as Maya's recorded testimony was played. Now, coming up at 6, we'll break down witness testimonies calling on lawmakers to make what they call common sense and concrete gun law changes. Live on Capitol Hill, Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Lee. And as you said, also taking the stand today, Mia Cerrillo, a child changed forever. She's one of the survivors who was in the same classroom as teachers Irma Garcia, Eva Morales, and 8 of the 19 students who died. The 11-year-old shared some of the most powerful testimony this morning, explaining what she had to do inside her 4th grade classroom in order to survive. Mia's testimony taped beforehand. We want to warn you, you may find some of the details of her account hard to watch. It was May 24th, 2022, the last week of school for students at Robb Elementary, including 11-year-old Mia Cerrillo. She and her classmates watching a movie when their lives were changed forever. The moment she recalls was her teacher receiving an email.
She went to go lock the door, and he was in the hallway.
What Mia remembers next is her teacher telling everyone in class to hide.
We went to go hide behind my teacher's desk and behind the backpacks, and then he shot the little window.
The gunman would enter class 112 first, Mia's class, firing shots before going through an adjoining door. She describes the horrific moment when she witnessed one of her teachers die.
And he went stood there and shot my teacher and told my teacher goodnight and shot her in the head.
When the gunman entered the adjoining classroom 111, none of the students in that room would survive. Out of fear for her own life and what might happen next, Mia did the unimaginable, a move that likely saved her life.
He shot my friend that was next to me, and I thought he was going to come back to the room, so I grabbed the blood and I put it all over me.
What did you do then when you put the blood on yourself?
Just stay quiet, and then I grabbed my teacher's phone and called 911. I told her that we need help and to send the police in our classroom.
Mia's father, Miguel Cerrillo, also spoke to lawmakers today. He said his daughter is no longer the same little girl. He echoed Mia's message, saying schools no longer feel safe and something needs to change. United States Attorney General Merrick Garland announcing a review of the law enforcement response to that shooting at Robb Elementary today.
Garland saying today there is nothing that can be done to undo the pain borne by the survivors and victims' families, but the expertise of the Justice Department can go a long way in assessing what happened in Uvalde and give guidance for the future.
Similar reviews conducted after the 2015 mass shooting in San Bernardino, California, and after the 2016 Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida.
Meantime, Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin confirming this afternoon that the Robb School Memorial Fund, the account that was set up for those wanting to support the families impacted by the massacre, has now soared past $3.5 million. It's launched questions about how the fund will be managed. Our Dylan Collier is live in Uvalde, where he sat down with the mayor for a one-on-one interview that wrapped up just in the last few hours. So, Dylan, what did he say about this fund?
Ursula McLaughlin said this fund will continue to rise and will likely surpass that of even the El Paso Walmart shooting, which had a memorial fund that brought in just shy of $12 million. And with a sum of money that enormous comes a lot of scrutiny. McLaughlin saying that even though his name, the county judge's name, and the school superintendent's name appear on that account, they are not administrators of it. Neither are family members of those whose lives were shattered by this tragedy. McLaughlin explains why that is.
I think the people that are on that committee will represent the families well. But I mean, everybody that we talked to and everybody that was talked to, we were advised from Sandy Hook, Pulse nightclub shooting, and others not to put family members on this committee.
And this so-called advisory committee is being finalized as we speak. A large group that has worked on funds like this in the past following mass shootings in the United States will ultimately dispense the money. It is also worth noting that there is a separate GoFundMe account and money that has been collected in San Antonio. All told, these accounts are now worth well over $5 million, according to McLaughlin. Live in Uvalde, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Dylan. The Uvalde school massacre victims and community members were not the only ones on Capitol Hill demanding change today.
A mother of a survivor of the Buffalo grocery store shooting testified along with a gun policy advocate.
Now, they say the gun violence issues in America are rooted in so much more than just politics.
But let me say to you here today, I do not feel protected.
Zanetta Everhart has been taking care of her son Zaire for nearly 4 weeks now. Her son, one of 3 people shot in the Buffalo supermarket shooting on May 14th, where 10 people died. She says her son has holes in his back and neck.
Caused by an exploding bullet from an AR-15. As I clean his wounds, I can feel pieces of that bullet in his back. Shrapnel will be left inside of his body for the rest of his life. Now I want you to picture that exact scenario for one of your children.
Evidence shows that shooting was racially motivated. But Lucretia Hughes from the gun policy advocacy group, the DC Project, explains it's just another layer added to the violence we've seen with our current gun laws.
Our gun control lobbyists and politicians claim that their policies will save lives and reduce violence. Well, those policies did not save my son. We have decades of evidence proving they do not work.
Everhart says the violence we see is rooted in our history.
Separated from their families, bargained for or auction block, sold, beaten, raped, and lynched. Yet I continuously hear after every mass shooting that this is not who we are as Americans and as a nation. Hear me clearly. This is exactly who we are.
Both speaking to Congress, hoping their demand for change will be heard for once.
10 more laws, 20 more laws, 1,000 more won't make what has already illegal more wrong or stop criminals from committing these crimes. And y'all are delusional if you think it's going to keep us safe.
Now, the mother of the Buffalo shooting survivor invited those who heard her testimony today and were not moved by what she said to come by her house and help tend to her son's wounds. That way they can truly see the gravity of the situation.
Let's check out traffic right now. Let's go to 410 and Parambital, where you can see there is something that looks like an accident or something that's happening where they basically have the road completely shut down. I believe these are probably the eastbound lanes of 410 at Parambital as you head towards I-35. Just to give you an indication that traffic completely shut down here. The access roads are no doubt very busy. We're going to try and get a handle on exactly what's happening here. But again, you're looking at a live picture from 410 at Parambital is where the camera is. I believe it's the eastbound lanes of 410.
And no doubt a lot of people using their air conditioners in that traffic jam. A recent string of record-breaking heat has people concerned about the state's power grid and keeping up with the demand and usage.
Yeah, it's expected to be a scorching summer. No surprise. RJ Marquez shares what one energy economist says about whether Texas will actually be able to handle the heat.
San Antonio is already seeing record-breaking temperatures, and all signs point to a hotter-than-average summer. These triple-digit temps already putting a strain on the state's power grid.
We are hitting numbers this week that ordinarily we wouldn't hit until August.
ERCOT, the state's grid operator, expects a summer peak demand of 77,317 megawatts, but says there are more than 91,000 megawatts available to meet that demand. Ed Heers, an energy economist at the University of Houston, said ERCOT will have to rely on renewable energy this summer.
We do have significant wind and significant solar energy assets that are contributing.
But Heers said concerns over enough generation are warranted. He said Texas has less generation now than it did more than a decade ago.
And that dispatchable fleet, what they call thermal generators that you can turn on and turn off, has shrunk.
Here's also points to some plants that went offline last month, causing ERCOT to ask Texans to conserve energy and keep thermostats at 78 degrees.
6 units trip off, and we had 20,000 megawatts of dispatchable power that wasn't available due to maintenance.
In May, ERCOT released a report that said that the state's power grid would have enough generating capacity to meet that peak demand from the summer. And Heers actually agrees with this assessment if everything goes to plan, but still says that there are scenarios where we could see rolling blackouts.
Pointed weather interruptions, plants having unexpected outages, in other words, say maintenance or some other part of the grid breaking down.
Heers expects maximum demand this summer, but ERCOT says there is enough to meet that number.
You know, there's no question the grid's better than it was this time last year.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
Gas prices, they just seem to keep going up, way up. But it's not just here. It's all over the country, and in some states, prices much worse than what we're averaging in San Antonio. We're going to look at what the driving factors are and when there'll be relief in sight after the break.
A certain disease showing up in those who are suffering from long-term COVID. Some patients have symptoms lasting more than 4 weeks after COVID, or even longer. Tonight at 6, Courtney Friedman gives us new guidance released this week on cardiovascular disease in long-haul COVID patients. What the top docs are saying needs to happen to prevent a future health crisis. And Moderna announcing its new COVID booster. It's showing strong resistance to the Omicron variant. The company says that it plans to have the booster available by late summer and is already manufacturing it, even without FDA approval. They say it contains vaccines that work against the original COVID strain and Omicron. Right now, Omicron subvariants are driving most of all of the new COVID cases in the U.S. Side effects said to be similar to that of Moderna's COVID boosters.
As gas prices continue to go up, many from coast to coast feeling it in their wallets. The national average about $5 a gallon right now. ABC's Morgan Norwood has more on what this could mean for the economy and our bank accounts.
From the East Coast,
I've been trying to just walk more places that I can,
to the West.
This is horrendous.
Americans all over the country are feeling the strain from the skyrocketing gas prices.
We now have 14 different states where the average has already surpassed that $5 a gallon mark and seeing some tremendous increases.
The spike due in part to soaring demand overseas, supply concerns, and the war in Ukraine. And with hurricane season underway, prices could surge even higher. President Biden says in the short term, there's little that he can do to lower gas prices. So in the meantime, many are looking to lawmakers to help. In fact, states like New York and Connecticut have waived their gas tax temporarily, while states like California have talked about sending out gas rebates, but those talks still stalled.
I just want to make my living, and I feel like I'm getting, stripped in a way in order to do that.
And relief may not come as quickly. In fact, as oil and gas become more expensive, some economists say the risk of a recession, job losses, business bankruptcies, a slowdown goes up.
And with America approaching a national average price of $5 per gallon, analysts say that will likely prompt more American families to take a closer look at their spending habits. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Looking outside with live cam, we want to show you blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. None of this is good. Triple digits.
Yeah, I mean, I said it yesterday. I'm envious of places that have cloud cover right now.
It makes a huge difference when you even just have a thin veil of clouds. It makes a big difference. We're not so fortunate right now. Sometimes we do get lucky in the afternoon in the sense that afternoon storms in Mexico have their blow-off clouds come our way. That's not even the case right now. 100 degrees so far, the high temperature today. That's 1 degree shy of the record. I really emphasize so far because this time of year and in these kind of conditions, we can still rise another degree over the next hour or so. High temperatures right around that century mark everywhere and a little above, especially south and west of San Antonio. Take a look at our quick Weather Watcher readings out there. Triple digits, very common. Floresville 102, Lakey 100, Universal City triple digits. Near Lavernia, we're talking 102. Officially at the airport now, 99. It feels like it's 1 degree warmer than the air temperature because the dew point's down a bit. So dew point's down to 61. Talked about this yesterday, this time of day with the bright sun. The sun warms up the ground, the air mixes a little bit, and we get the drier air aloft mixing downward. So the heat index really not a factor during the hottest part of the day. I think it'll be very similar tomorrow. Not everybody in the state is actually as hot right now. There's a frontal boundary off in North Texas, and we're talking 86 in Lubbock, Amarillo 71. You get into Oklahoma, temperatures in the 70s. But of course, that front's not going to make it here and not have an impact on our temperatures. Right now, we're right near 100 everywhere, even 104 Eagle Pass and Cotulla, Pleasanton 103, New Braunfels, you're 101. Converse sitting at 99. So we're all feeling the heat. But remember, with that little drop in the afternoon humidity, the feels like is only about 1, maybe 2 degrees higher than the air temperature. And we've shaved off a few degrees compared to yesterday. So tomorrow morning, we'll start the day in the low to mid 70s. Lower 70s up in the hill country, Bernie 71, Kerrville Comfort 71, mid 70s around San Antonio and elsewhere. By the afternoon, I think right at 100 degrees again, officially in town. So that'd be about 97 in Bernie, 101 New Braunfels. You get to Poteet about 102 tomorrow, but I think most of San Antonio and surrounding communities will be right about 100 degrees. And you look at the trend, we do go back up. Friday 102, Saturday 104. Those days will have their record high temperatures in jeopardy. And then Monday, 102, that would be another record-breaking day. But the weekend really stands out, back to 104 degrees Saturday and 103 on Sunday. Here's the big picture. There are some storms out there. You have to go far west on Highway 90 or I-10, Fort Stockton area, Alpine, even Fort Davis. Some terrain circulations helping out there, along with a little boundary that dropped in from the north. Otherwise, heat high, that's in charge of our weather. So this evening, it's hot. 97 at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 87 degrees. Rising humidity after sunset. And tomorrow, we'll start the day with the clouds early in the morning. Otherwise, a very sunny day with high temperatures back to the century mark. And that's going to be the trend through at least the middle of next week.
Our hats off to Fort Stockton. Lucky Devils.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So This is a pivotal game tonight in this series.
Absolutely. And for Golden State, what will it take for them to actually steal a win on the road like Boston was able to do in San Francisco? When we come back, we'll get you ready for Game 3 tonight, live right here on KSAT 12 of the NBA Finals. And why is Baker Mayfield in Austin while the drama surrounding Deshaun Watson is growing that now includes the Houston Texans? Coming up. The NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics resume tonight with Game 3 in Boston after Golden State's 107-88 victory in Game 2. The best-of-7 series now tied at 1-all. This is the 39th time in NBA Finals history that we have been tied at 1-all, with a winner of Game 3 going on to win the championship 82% of the time as the Warriors try and return the favor to the Celtics by trying to steal a victory in Boston. They will need Klay Thompson to break out of his final slump, where he's a combined 10 of 33 from the field, including 4 of 15 from three-point range, with an average of just 13 points in the first 2 games.
I've been through shooting slumps before, and the best part is it's how you respond. So come Game 3, I'll probably not do much differently rather than just play with great pace and hunt great shots, because when I tend to do that, I tend to have the big night. And most importantly, you know, it feels good going for 4 for 19 and winning by 20. Like, I'd rather do that than go 13 for 19 and lose by 10. Been there, that's never fun.
Former Spur Derek White is playing in his first ever NBA Finals since he was traded to Boston back in February. He's able to score 21 points, including 5 three-pointers in Game 1's 120-108 victory, but dropped to 12 points and 2 three-pointers in Game 2's 107-88 loss. What will it be like for White to play the NBA Finals now in Boston tonight?
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's amazing playing here since I got traded, and I mean, throughout this whole postseason. So I already know that the Boston fans are going to bring it up a notch, and maybe a couple more notches in the playoffs and the finals. So I'm looking forward to it, and I know everybody else loves playing in front of this crowd.
All right, tip-off times at 8 p.m. live right here on KSAT 12.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Cleveland Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield has been excused from the team's mandatory minicamp next week. Mayfield has not been with the Browns since the trade that brought controversial quarterback Deshaun Watson. In fact, he's been in Austin rehabbing off-season surgery to his torn labrum in his left non-throwing shoulder. But now there's a new report out that states Watson scheduled massages with as many as 66 different women over the course of 17 months, and that the Houston Texans may have knowingly or not assisted the quarterback with a membership to an exclusive Houston area resort, and a member of the Texans' own team security staff provided Watson with non-disclosure agreements. This is all found in the New York Times following the newspaper's in-depth investigation. Watson is being sued by 24 different women for sexual assault and misconduct during massages. The NFL has yet to rule on whether or not Watson has violated the league's personal code of conduct. And now the latest news, Tony Busby, the attorney representing those 24 women, is now including the Houston Texans on these lawsuits.
I imagine he is. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Before we go, I want to update the situation at Loop 410 in Paramaribo. We believe you're looking at the eastbound lanes of 410. They were completely shut down moments ago. At least 2 lanes are back open. Still trying to get a read on exactly what's happening here.